Hey, it's Chappie's Crypto here for episode 16 of my trading journals. This is the trading session from the night of the 9th and morning of the 10th of August 2022, and we're going to get into it. I'll just move off the main screen here and talk about the night that was a bloodbath. This is the opposite of the end of my week last week. Unfortunately, I took 3 trades in this trading session and I got chopped up. So I'll go into that, but just to give a bit of a summary, so you can put myself out of my misery here, down $663 for that session. You do win some, you do lose some. It's the cost of doing business within trading game. So for people that are new to watching my videos, this is my demo account. People that aren't familiar, just quickly, these are my goals. My goal at the moment is to save 10 grand in real cash from my initial balance so I can get into my trading account again. I've traded with real cash before. I've been trading for about 18 months, and about 3 or 4 months ago, after not being consistently profitable, I took a break, found ICT mentorship series and watched all the videos through his mentorship series, and I'm going back and rewatching those. And my ultimate goal in the very short term is to double my demo account. So I go from a $10,000 account balance up to 20,000. That's my goals. So we'll get into it. I was doing pretty well 3 weeks, just over 3 weeks. Hadn't had actually a losing trading session so far. So this is my first session where I finished the night negative and down $663. So what happened? Let's have a look. So this is the 15-minute chart of the, I fundamentally trade the micro E-mini NASDAQ 100 futures contract, the September contract at the moment. If you're new to futures, just check out this truckloads of videos on the internet and YouTube particularly that go over and help you understand futures. But that's what I trade. I've gone from crypto into the futures space, and I'm enjoying a lot. However, let's just get stuck into it and really focus. I've been trading using the knowledge I'm learning through the ICT mentorship series. So Inner Circle Trading YouTube series, fantastic. Michael from ICT, can't rate him highly enough. I really appreciate that he's giving a lot of content out for free, and no need to pay for any courses because the stuff's out there and it's free, and people, through his graciousness, people like Michael, decide to give it away. Anyway, this is the trading session as we look back. Obviously, when I started my session last night, it looked like that, so I didn't know what was going to come up here. So Monday did this, dropped down and stabilized. I had a bit of a feeling Tuesday was going to do this and start to go that direction. Reason being, on the 1 hour chart, there was a pretty big hefty fair value gap back here. So that whole region from memory, let's have a quick look at the 1 hour gap, 1 hour time frame. And this fair value gap just here is where I thought price may draw to, and I covered that on my review when I was talking about what's coming up this week. So sure enough, in this session it did well and truly come down to that. Well, I'll show you the trades I took and how they didn't work out. Although I felt like we might draw down here, I went against my thought process a little bit. Anyway, so this on the chart here, if you watch the ICT trading series, he talks about looking at the price at midnight and then at market open. So what I do personally is I make a mark at midnight and I find the price at midnight. I've got the price. I'll just change the times here to make sure I'm looking at New York time frames. So in TradingView, down the bottom, you've got this little section here that's set currently to Sydney times. I'll change that back to New York, so it aligns to the market open times from New York. So this is the price at midnight. And what I do is I put a trend line using this tool here, up here in TradingView. I do a trend line that comes out. If you double click on the line, you can put some text on it. So we look at my text, I'll just type in Tuesday because that's Tuesday session. And so that becomes a bit of an anchor point, and I look at what happens around that particular line. So on Tuesday, price is doing this before market open. So I was hopeful what was going to happen. I was aware that this fair value gap was down here. However, I thought price may come back up this direction, maybe touch that, maybe come through it. I was wrong, and my bias effectively caught me out. If I'd zoomed back a little bit and really stuck true to this, I could have actually secured probably a bit better of a trading session, but we'll get into it and have a look what happened. Let's go down to the 1 minute chart here and break these trades down. So let's scroll right back to the time just before the market open, so you can see the trades that I took and my methodology or thought process here. So as the price is getting in, I apologize. On the 15-minute chart, one of the things that Michael on SCT talks about is marking the previous high and the previous low just before market open. So on here, this here is the previous low, and this would be the previous high. Just before market open. So what you can do, and this is one of the things I often do, is I'll mark that. So I put my cursor just at the base of that candle. I hold down Option H on a Mac. If you don't, I don't know what the command on a PC is because I don't use a PC, but that draws a horizontal line. And if I draw a line here at the top of this previous high on the 15-minute chart, that becomes a range of interest for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay particular attention to what happens here, and if the price comes back up to here. And in the theory being, if prices actually come up to here and tested this, I would probably look to take a short. If price is bumping through here, I'm probably looking for an opportunity to go long. So that was what I was thinking in my bias in my head. I haven't really grasped all the concept in the ICT method yet, so I'm just, which is part of the reason I'm just using paper trading at the moment, using this demo account. However, it's been working really well. I just last night unfortunately got done, and I just unfortunately this bias. Although the bias ultimately was correct, I was going too early on these trades, and just ultimately probably wasn't patient enough. And so when you look at my setups here, you can see that I got in too early on both. Well, on two of the trades. The actual third trade was actually a really good setup. I just was too greedy ultimately, and I'll show you what I mean. So trade number one, when you look at this, and I've just made these a little bit, tone up the opacity here. So if you're wondering to know how I get these on my chart, there's a little tool here in TradingView, and it's called the call out tool. And what I do is when I execute a trade, after I've done it, after I've closed the trade, I'll actually come back here, draw that on there. I'll put some details, so it's just a bit easier for me when I review my trades myself. So I do this instead of keeping a manual trading journal. So my first trade was just here. I took a buy of three contracts just there. Why? Well, a couple of reasons. We've got this little fair value gap just here, if that is one, and there was one here as well. But price had actually broken below these two relative equal lows and just peaked below that. We'd also had we've got a market structure shift, and I felt like we were going to move that direction. So I took a buy at that point, thinking that there's a reasonable chance we may draw up here. So I had my buy in there, and unfortunately it came down and hit my stop. The stop, I'm pretty sure, look, you can see where I had it, the stop was actually down here, and I stopped that out, and I actually ended up losing on that first one $117. That was the first trade. So a bit of a bummer there, it just didn't play out. And when on reflection, this is one of those moments I should just sit and wait, and I'm going to tell myself now, let's hope you can tell me if I do the right thing in my next session. What I need to be doing is waiting for these prices to hit these previous highs and lows on that 15 minutes. So if I just sat back and waited for this, which is 9:30, and surprise, surprise, that's what the market does at 9:30. You see this big dump. It was interesting because I was in this trade and the market had opened, and I got this big whip up. So I'm thinking, great, I'm in profit, and then a big whip down, thinking maybe not. Whip back up, closed there, that candle, and then this one just dumped and obviously stopped me out there. And I did have, actually, that's right, I had the stop just below here. So on retrospect, its setup was okay, entry not so good, and realistically, it's just not a good trade, and I should have ultimately waited to see this break. Now, second trade, so first trade down, that's all right. Dust yourself off and look to go again. And this is that 1 hour fair value gap from a few days ago that I marked on the chart, and it well and truly came into this range here. I'd convinced myself here, and what happened here is, and this is the candle I took the next trade on. The price had come down deep into this, gone again, and then we've got this nice market structure shift up. So for me, this is a valid, this meets my rules. The only thing of concern here is it hadn't cleared out this full imbalance. So that was in the back of my mind, but I said, you know what, that's okay. We've got the market structure shift. We've got a fair value gap just here. I think it's worth a go in. We're hitting this previous low from the range just before market open. So, tick my boxes. I didn't feel overly upset about this one. It's just you win some, you lose some, and this is one of the ones that I got it wrong. and I got in on this candle, which when it came back down here into this fair value gap, took that trade at that point, took 3 contracts long again, and it stopped me out. I am getting better at not moving my stop loss, so that's one thing I'm getting better at, just controlling myself and say, sometimes it's just going to come down and probably do this and go, but that's okay. If it come down here, I knew my bias is wrong and I've just got the setup wrong, so took the loss there. And on that second trade, I took a $201 loss, and there we go. So kept on, I said, all right, 2 down. This is happening a bit to me lately, so let's look out for this third option or third setup. And this one looked really juicy, and this is one of those moments where I just was being too greedy, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I was being super patient, and I really waited for the setup to play out. So we'd had this, by this time, we've well and truly cleared out this fair value gap. Price has done this. We've got this low, we've got a slightly higher low. Look at this shape. Michael on ICT talks about this a bit, and you'll see here, if you zoom in real close, you see we've got this little tiny fair value gap just there, just formed. We've got this market structure break, so these are strong candles. Whip down here, we've got another going again, and because of this break here, I just said, I'm taking a long here. So I actually took a 6 contracts long at that point, and I had to draw on here to try and identify what my target was going to be. And this is where I was being overly optimistic ultimately. So what I actually did is I zoomed right out, and I looked at to try and capture this whole range. So this big range from back here through to here. I grabbed the Fib tool, which is this tool up here, the Fibonacci Retracement. I've used the settings that ICT talks about in his YouTube channel. So I've copied his settings here, but what I do is from the top of that range down to the bottom of this range, this is my target here. So that line there is a point of interest for me. So I'm thinking, let's try and target just above here, and that's where I would hope price is going to go to. If we look here throughout, it didn't trade up there. Price well and truly went in the right direction. So I should have snagged. Sorry, I should have snagged this. Actually, I apologize. Came back down here, freaked me out, but price well and truly went towards this target, just didn't quite reach that far, and then it came back down and stopped me out because I actually placed my stop down below here. So I had to stop in a really good spot, and it was actually a really good setup. So what can I learn from this one? Don't be so greedy. So where's a different place I may have been able to draw the Fibonacci or to work out and identify probably a more suitable range that I'd be looking to do? Well, I could, in this instance, possibly look at drawing this Fibonacci from here, or even from here. Let's go from there to there. And let's see if I so I'm taking the trade long here. This is the halfway point. So really anywhere above here is a reasonable spot, and if you look at this imbalance, it's clear back the top of the balance, so maybe that would have been a good target just above here. Maybe that's a sensible place, but in the end, I'm not, although I took a bit of a hit on that trade, I was still pretty happy with the setup I took. That was the best trade in regards to setup. That was actually a really sensible setup there. I just, maybe should have taken a partial a bit early. I was going to get rid of that. The other thing as well to look at here is when I was looking at this setup and trying to identify a target, I was really hoping it's going to come here. It just didn't, and just sometimes that happens. I held on because there was one of those hairy moments. The price went right up. I was actually in probably almost $600 profit on this trade at that point. Came down here, it almost took my stop out, so my stop's just here at this point. So just there, I was waiting. I was sitting, thinking I've done my dough. It ripped again, and this time I thought surely we're going to go, and thinking it's going to come up here, and once again we've got 2 relative equal highs here, and it just slowly started to drift down. I had plenty of opportunities to take the trade out, and if on retrospect, if I'd taken just one, or I've actually got 6 contracts in, so in theory once it broke this, probably could have taken the 3 partials out there and just moved my stop just above my entry here, and I would have locked in $300-400 profit, and probably would have finished with $350 profit, which would have made my night effectively even. But in the end, I let it ride out. I've seen it happen so many times where if I think it's going here and you take your profits, of course, this is what happens. So I didn't want to cop that. I've had that happen way too many times. So there you go. That's my 3 losing trades for that night. However, super happy with that setup. I think that setup made a lot of sense. We've got this nice little shape here, this low, and this low. I can't remember exactly how Michael on ICT refers to it as, but I think that, you know, this is a definite low point. There's these 2 things here, and this one's dropping and fading away. So that for me, it's a valid setup. I just need to get a better job at trying to identify reasonable entry points or exit points to make sure I lock in the profits when they're there. So there you go. That's how I went on that session. And not much else to share. I look forward to getting it again tonight in the next trading session. This is Chappie's Crypto signing out for another trading review, episode 16 over and out. And talk to you again soon. Bye for now.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.